Yeah, please go ahead. What was the yesterday? What was the previous session and what you have done? Yeah, go ahead, please. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. So you created a new controller, Ola controller. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yes. What is what is that global object? Yeah, it's not a global object actually. It's a way you do a dependency injection in um, the yeah, this is the way you do dependency injection. Okay, so like in all the classes or in all the controllers, like you're injecting here, and in all the controllers or wherever you want to use, you can use it. I can see only your Visual Studio. Did you share the screen or did you share the window? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now I can see the yeah browser. I can see. Okay, you can execute that. No, no, what was your question? Why you are getting try it out? Mm-hmm. Can you yeah debugging F10, F11. F10 will be F F7 will be within the. If you want to go to the okay, I'll tell you. Can you stop it here? No, stop in the sense press. Okay, so what was the error you are telling? Can you run one more time and show what we'll do one by one? So what was the error you're talking about? Where you're getting error? Try it out. Uh-huh. No, no, no. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, no, why? Okay, okay. Close that. No, actually, it's a yeah, yeah. You can do the continue. Go back to the yeah. No, first of all, it is a um, Swagger documentation. Okay, just click on continue. Okay, so again, can you collapse and reopen again the method, not this one. Go to the Swagger. Go to the Swagger. Collapse the get all. Get uh, expand it again. Okay, collapse. Uh, Open the other method. Yeah, so try it out means it's a default option given by Swagger. So the reason if you when you expanded it, can you scroll down? So when you expanded, it will give all the sections like what is the response you're getting, what kind of uh, parameter it is taking. Can you see the parameter it is taking and also the response sample it takes? It gives everything it shows. Try it out means from here you are executing your code. From here you are testing your code. So when you say try it out, then it will show the execution. You have to provide the parameters and you have to call execute. So every time you open Swagger, you will not execute the code. So you will see the input parameters, output parameters, the error codes it returns, everything whatever it do, it will display. So that's why you don't see the execute right away. So if you want to execute a route, you have to click on try it out, then it will give the parameters. If it is taking any parameters, it will ask for the parameters, then you have to provide and then you have to execute. So it's a default documentation. It's not a try it out means try me. That's what it's saying. Okay. And can you go to the can you execute the get? I'll tell what is F10 and what is F11. No, from there execute the get. Okay. So now press F10. Wait. Go to the get all service get all. Okay, do one thing. No. View. There is a debug in the top. Debug. File, edit, view, git, project, debug, build, debug. Uh, Disable all breakpoints. Disable all breakpoints. Disable all break. Okay, now put a breakpoint at var ola. Var ola equal to service get all. Put a breakpoint there. Okay, now press F10. Again press F10. Okay. So when you press F10, so before uh, the return statement, there is one more line. So when you press F10 within the same file, it go to the next line. Okay. Now press F5. F5. Yeah. F5 means it will come out. Again execute. I'll tell the difference between F10 and F11. Yeah. Now press F11. So it will go to the method, and if you press F10 and if there are no inner methods, then it will come out. Yeah, so F10 and F11 and knowing all these debugging techniques, it should be very helpful. So there is one more. Again, execute one more time. I'll tell one more. F5 and execute one more time. So these are very helpful. Wait, press F10 and wait. And you want to see what are the values you have in Ola, right? Just yeah, yeah. No, directly there is a magnifying field, right side view. There is a, in the middle you have again select it. Just place, just place over Ola. There is a view. No, no, no. Just click on the magnified field. The magnified symbol. No, the magnified symbol. The view left side there is a magnified symbol, right? View there is a left side uh, magnified symbol. Yeah, just click on it. Yeah, that is called magnified field. So you will see the entire data. You can just maximize. So you will see the entire data here. Sometime you can watch specific value, that's called watch window, and even you can change the value. We'll see that later. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, you're practicing the things and you're getting the positive results. Yeah, this is the good sign. You can stop sharing. I will get the screen. And Raja, you have any questions? Raja, do you have any question? Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah, please. Okay. So yeah. So get all students. Okay. So then get specific student. Um, so so how to get a specific student? Um, so int ID. So these services they can have private methods. Private enumerable, but this is not the ideal. Uh, no, no, no. Before connecting to database, we should know like how to create database and all that stuff, right? So I need to show what is the database. Okay. So where students, prepare students. So here you can use the link query or you can use the for each loop like this. For each students, if student dot id equal to id, so uh, then return student. This is not enumerable student, this is just student. Not all code paths return value, so return null. Again there is a link statement, link detailed session. We are going to see the link. Okay. um, so I think in ADO.NET or in MVC series, or else go to the individual videos. Okay. So these are all latest videos. Go back to the old videos. Yeah, there are 23 videos on C Sharp. Raja, you're asking, right? C Sharp, there are 23 videos. Those are individual videos. So there is a link concept. Can you see link somewhere? Yeah, entity framework means you will see the link. ADO.NET Entity Framework. Yeah, ADO.NET. So these ADO.NET, you will have the link queries in detail. If you want it from link specific, you can watch these. Um, but even I explained what is for each loop, what is for loop, and what is um, link query. So why it is throwing error? Okay, this method we need to put it in the, but I service student does not implement interface get student. Okay, so this get student should be int id. Int id. Okay, yeah, the student service. Okay, it's not I enumerable, so it should match the interface and this should match. Okay, so this for each loop will give the specific student. So in latest like in the latest .NET Core and in the entity framework, you are not going to use the for each loop, but sometimes for each loop will be faster than the link query. It purely depends. If the query is simple, you can use the link query. You can use the for each loop. If the conditions are multiple, then you can use the link query. Okay. So how to write the link query? So where student equal to, so you all know SQL queries, and we'll see SQL Server in a couple of days. Um, but link query is similar to your SQL query. So how you return SQL data? So if you want to get a specific student, how you do that? You will do like this: select Arjuna. You have. Can you tell me how can I select star from st students where student ID or ID equal to this ID, right? So this will return a specific student data. So here you can write whatever, instead of star you can specify whatever values you want to: ID, name, age, like that. Okay. So yeah. So similarly, the link query, how you the link query will similar to your SQL query, but there is a difference. So from statement will come first. From students. So any guess how this SQL query, how this link query? Mm-hmm. Sorry, what is that? Yeah. Link query, it's C sharp. feature. So we have, okay, so from student in students, okay, no, 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 I'll tell. Let me write the query and can you hear me properly? Your voice is breaking. No, no, no. Your voice is breaking when you're talking. So I think your internet is not. Yeah. Okay. Um, so that's why I wrote link first for each loop. Then I'm writing the link query. Okay. So in this for each loop, what we are doing, you know how the for each loop works. Correct. You all know how the for each loop will work. So this for each loop where we are writing on the students list. So this is a student list. So this will prepare a list of students and it will return. So now this will replace with database call. That's fine. So how we are writing the for each loop? This for each loop we are writing on the students list. Okay. So okay. So where s is a local variable. So where s is a local variable, and so what kind of local variable it is? It is a kind of one item from the students. So this method is returning list of student models, right? So this method is returning list of students model. That means this students will have list of students, and this for each loop will be executed how many items I have in this list. If I have 10 items, this for each loop will be executed 10 times. If I have 100 items, this for each loop will be executed 100 times. So each time this S will contain a specific item. That means first time, so now this has how many 1, 2, 3, 4 items, right? So first time this S will contain the first record. So second time when it execute, it will contain second record. Third time when it executes, it will contain third record. So let's execute this. Okay. So first I'll execute because understanding the for each loop and um, the link query is very important because going forward you use link query only. Okay. So get student, get int id. So what I'll do, where student equal to student service dot get student, and you pass the student and return student. Okay. This is not string, it's student model. Yeah, let's execute this and see how the for each loop is being executed. Okay, so student ID, I'll, so what are the IDs we have here? The student service, I would like to return the fourth item. So I'll enter number 4, try it out, number 4 and execute. So yeah, it will first execute the, okay, I'll press F11. So it will return all the students. If you see, all the students will be displayed. Okay, so now I need to iterate these all the students, and I have to return one student based on the ID. Okay, so here we have 4 students, but what if we have 100 students? Let's see how the for each loop it's executing. So if you, so now this for each loop is iterating. Okay, and if you look at S, so you can see age Arjuna male 1. So now the value S is nothing but the first record in the list, right? So where S in students, this will have 4 student records and the first record is Arjuna. So now it's a first iteration. The S will contain information of the first student. Now I can, within the within the for loop, I can check all the conditions and I can execute the for loop, for each loop. So the ID is not matching. So second time the S contains second student information, Tina ID 2. Okay, so is the ID matching? No. So this logic, it can be, now we are simply matching the ID and we are returning, but in real time, based on the 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 logic might be little difficult, and you can have multiple business rules to achieve this. Okay, so the third time it will contain one more record. This is record 3. Now the fourth time, okay, so it will return the data. So once it, after fourth iteration, you don't have anything, right, to iterate. So then it will come out of the loop and it will return the student we specified and is returning the value. So this for each loop, if you are aware of for loop in the C++ or in the C sharp initial stages, the for loop is the basic loop, right? Have you ever used for loop, Arjuna? So the for loop, what it contains the initial value, like for int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. Or else I int I equal to 10, I is greater than or equal to 0, I plus plus. So the for loop should have the starting point and ending point to control the execution. And mostly the for loop in C++ and even in the initial C sharp, it's being used for um, iterating the arrays, iterating a few items. So at that time, the applications have limited data, and for loop was very useful. But now, if you see the applications, if you see Facebook, if you see YouTube, if you see Instagram, so each post contain multiple threads, comments, for the comments replies, for the comments again the written comment. So though the complex data, right? And we don't have the starting and ending point. So this for each loop is designed in such a way that when you when you want to process huge data, when there is no starting and ending point, or start when you don't know the starting and ending, and if you want to process a huge collections with huge data, then this for each loop. Did you understand this for each loop? And have you used for each loop earlier in your applications? Yeah. So yes. Now the same for each loop, I can convert it into a link query. So this link query, it will do the for each loop job. And even this for each loop, what it is doing, actually it is doing the SQL query only. Finally, you are looping through the items and you are returning a specific student, right? So now if you look at link query, so this link query is returning a specific student based on the ID. So in SQL query, the select statement will be coming first, and after that from, and at the end you will see the where. But in link query, you will see from student object. So this where s is nothing but this one. So for understanding, I can just convert this into this. So now if you see this for each loop and this link query, both are same. Only the difference is this for each loop has multiple lines of code. This link query has a single line code, but still it will be in the, when you run this code, this link query will be converted into for each loop only at the runtime. So if you see from s, where s, in students, so I'm declaring a variable for each item in the students here and keep it as s, and where sid, s dot id equal to s is nothing but the entire student object. At that first time it will be first record, second time it will be second record. Okay. So s dot id equal to id and select s. So if you don't want to select, okay. So have you understand this? Yeah, I'll come to that point. I'll come to that point. So there is a different opinion on yeah, even earlier I have same opinion, but um, I'll show something from the Microsoft about link query. Okay, so why it is complaining about cannot sim enumerable. Okay, so this will return basically the list. Okay, so return first. Yes, so this entire statement, it will return value, it will return whether it is returning one object or two objects. It will return a list of objects. Even though it is returning the student number 4, that student number 4, it will keep it in the list and it will return. So what I am doing, I am returning the first item. Okay, where is that? Okay, no, I'll select only this and control Q, and this is called control alt Q. Control alt Q, we call it as a quick watch window. You can see the return type will be so system dot link collection enumerable. So the return type would be, it's a list. Even though it is returning items, one item, it will return the list of items. Okay, so there are many methods here. So this will return a specific student. Did you see the difference? When I selected, now it is returning student model. Okay, if I select this one, this is returning a list of students. Okay, so this will return a student. And if you press F11, so did you see when I press F11, and you can see this is the way how you can debug the link query. So you can see the first, so it is written, it is again looping through the values. Okay, so second time it is having second record. So third time it is having third record. So fourth time it is having the fourth record. So even though if you are writing link query, that link query at runtime, it will be converted into for each loop and all the records will be iterated. So is it clear how the link query is getting executed? Okay, so now coming to your question, even earlier I thought link query gives better performance than for each loop. Just look at in the Google, link versus for each. So look at opinion. So this we will do when we are developing applications. When you are in the project, you will do all this kind of research. I'm writing we'll go to the why should link be faster. It also uses loop internally. Most of the times link will be bit slower because it introduces overhead. Do not use link if you care much about performance. Use link because you want to shorter, better readable and manageable code. So the link will help you to write, you're correct. The link will help you to write code in a manageable and even in a small, less lines of code. But if you truly um, concerned about performance, use Foreach. Okay, what lets you convert your Foreach loop that uses INnumerable link query, or when you have Foreach loop uses INnumerable and you want that loop to be read as a link query. You prefer to use link syntax rather than Foreach loop. Link makes query into first class language construct in C#. Link can reduce the amount of code in a file, make the code easier to read, and allow different data sources to have similar query expression. So this is Microsoft article, Learn Microsoft. They are also saying, they are not saying link query will improve the performance. They are saying link query can reduce the amount of the code. Link syntax is typically less efficient than for each loop. It's good to be aware of any performance trade-off that might occur when you use link to improve the readability of your code. So that means if you are using link query, your code can be readable, your code is shorter, and it looks very neat with a new type of standards. But now see this. So it is a myth. Most of the developers, even like few years back, I thought link will improve the performance, but it's not. It will not improve the performance. It will improve the readability. It will improve the um, code manageability. Okay. So yeah. So I think these two are enough to get the conclusion, because if you are not believing, this is a third party site and this is answer from some random person, but this is the documentation from Microsoft itself. So yeah. So if you truly, but write, practice the link queries, there are some situations where link queries will be handy. So this is simple for each loop, right? If you are using a entity framework, if you are using entity framework and there are multiple objects, if you are using entity framework, then link query will be the best option. If you are using some C# objects and if you want to iterate through, then so the reason I show this example, so when you see some kind of errors, when you see some kind of confusions, when you see some when you want some kind of help, either when you are learning, when you are developing your applications, just go to Google, frame the question properly, and go to few third-party sites, and always double check with the authorized site. So for Microsoft, the authentic site is learn.microsoft. They documented everything. So it's always double check in the authenticated or proper sites. Okay, and this will help you uh, resolving your issue and also your learning capacity. So in this case, instead of using link, go for loop only. That will help you. So this is best readability, ability and code maintainability. Okay. So before going further, so here there is a first, okay, there is a FirstOrDefault, there is a default or empty. So there are three methods: first or default, default or empty. So what is the difference between these three? So it's an interview, so you can get this in the interview questions. I'll put it in the interview question. Okay. Link versus for each loop, which is better? Okay. So then first versus first or default. What is the method? First or default versus default or empty. I'll give a high level explanation of this, but you do research. Are you working on these questions? Have you find the difference between where dynamic object? Have you find a difference between IEnumerable, IQueryable, or the list? Yeah, please find. Yeah, please do find and remind me. We will discuss the answers and we'll put these answers here. Okay. So first default or empty. So first of all, the link query, this part of link query, the highlighted part of link query will return objects in a again list. Whether it is returning one item, two item, three items, this particular link query, it will return items in the list only. So even your select statement, select ID, name, age, where from students where ID equal to ID, even though if it is written one record, it will return in a data table format. Similarly, this highlighted link query, it will return data in a link in a list format. So whether it is returning 1, 2 or n records, you will get it in the list. But I don't want to return the list. I want to return the item. I want to return the. I don't want to return the. Here I want to return the student list. But here I am returning only student object. But this is going to return a list object. So how can I get a specific item? So if you use first. So if you use first, this statement, this entire statement will return, irrespective how many records it returns, this entire statement will return the first record of the return statement. Okay, so what will happen if there is no match found? Let's see. Yeah, this is a good exercise to understand first or default, and okay, ID. So I am giving an ID which doesn't exist. I am giving 5. We have only 4. Okay. So let's see what will happen. Okay. So yeah. 3, 4. So what happened? The sequence contains no element. So the query executed and it's returning a list, empty list. The query get executed and it is returning an empty list. And you are trying to return first. So the empty list, it's trying to return the first object and it throws an error. because it doesn't have any items, right? If you give 1, 2, 3, 4, this will work. If you give something, the ID which doesn't exist, if you are using first, it will throw an error. Okay. Now let's see what will happen if I use FirstOrDefault. So all of these will work when there is a item in the return statement, but they will fail when they will behave differently when there is a query which doesn't exist. When we are trying to search for a item which doesn't exist. I'll remove this. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's returning a default first. If the item exists, it will return the first item. If the item doesn't exist, it will return the default item. Default item is nothing but it will return a null student item. The default item is what? Null student item. So if you are not sure whether the data exists or not, then using FirstOrDefault will be always suggestible. Okay. If you are returning an item, then it will return the item properly. So now it will return a student with ID 1. Earlier, if it doesn't find any value, it will return a default item. So what is DefaultOrEmpty? Yeah, in this case, you have to do like this. So let's see. First, we will see the success. I'll return 1. Okay. So what this is doing? So this is again a returning a list of student only. Okay. DefaultOrEmpty, it is taking the student returned item and it is putting it in the some IEnumerable format, some list format. So now I need to convert that into unable to. Okay. So let's see what exactly you understand first versus first or default versus default or empty. And if default or empty used the first default and the tables does not have a default record, would the field in the default record be returned, or would value specified in the default empty part be used? Okay, uh, you can do some research on this and you can come back. But the frequently used one will be first. If you are sure, there is a record, always use first. or if you are not sure, use default. So this returned an empty null value. Okay, so there is some type conversion we have to do. I'll come back to first or default, default or empty, but this one, okay. So first, what is the difference between first and first or default? We are sure we know. And can you research on default or empty what it's returning and how you use it in the link query? You can do the research and get back. So tomorrow we'll see um, the insert method and also the update method and delete method. Yeah, first we'll see the delete method, then we will see the insert and update, and after that we'll go to the database. So any questions?